Hi there, Emmeline here, and this is day 6 of the 40-day challenge of sharing my heart, and I feel like the days are starting to blend together a little bit. Things are getting crunchy over here on day 6. Yeah, I mean, I've talked in the last few videos I posted about this detox cleanse that my partner and I are on, and how I was having some things, like definitely some like stress in my spleen, and wow, that sun's really bright. Yeah, just like really feeling kind of like a backup of some of what's being released in my body. It's not really being, I think, super effectively cleared out, but yeah, I'm really starting to feel that. And part of it too is that I'm a few days out from starting my menstrual cycle, so it's like the normal time of the month kind of emotions and things coming up, just stronger. Yeah. Oof. But it's yeah, it's just a lot of, I think the root of it really feels like unworthiness. It feels like yeah, just like a lot of these core beliefs that yeah, that I need to be busy all the time, that I need to be doing, that I need to be working, that I need to be producing. And like that combined with, I think, what specifically I need to be doing and what specifically I need to be producing, and just like this really strong resistance to allowing myself to express authentically and allowing myself to be supported by that, allowing myself to see value in that. Yeah, it's like pretty intense. And like today some stuff came up. I was doing a qigong class this morning, and I really started to feel it strongly during that qigong class, and then like these memories came up of my childhood, and like when I was a kid, we were not allowed to like not be doing anything. If my dad was around, we always had to be busy. We always had to be doing something. You weren't allowed to just like sit and be idle. That was, if he saw you sitting being idle, then, he'd be like, what are you doing? Like, and basically call you lazy, that sitting and being idle meant that you were being lazy. And, yeah, I think like I've known, for quite some time now that I have a problem with this, that I have a problem with just being, and not always feel like I need to be busy doing things. But it really feels like it's really coming up right now. And then there's like this other aspect of it too that's there, and I can feel it, and it hasn't quite presented itself as clearly yet, but it's more of this yeah, it's more of this idea and programming around what's valuable. And that came from childhood as well, and I just shut down so many parts of myself that were, softer and slower and appreciative of beauty and gentleness, because those things were not valued where I grew up, the way that I grew up. In fact, they were devalued. It's like they weren't even nice to haves, they were like a waste of resources. And yeah, I think I'm getting, I think I kind of tapped into a little bit of this earlier today, that it just feels like, what does that mean about me, right? That these parts of me that, these more authentic parts of me are a waste of resources, right? That's what it means. If that's true, if these, beliefs that I'm holding within myself are true. And I know that that's not true, right? Like in my mind, I know that that's not true. But I can also feel in my body that I'm carrying that, and it's causing this like massive conflict. And I can feel like in my chest, it's almost like there's like a being in there just like screaming and trying to get out. And this is not the first time I've experienced this. Not by a long shot. But it's definitely like really coming up. So, just sitting with it a lot today. I just did my meditation here in the river and definitely moved a lot of energy. Like I was basically just yawning the entire time, which is, I'm about to yawn again right now, but for me, yawning is one of the ways that my body like purges and moves energy. It's just through yawning. And so yeah, just a lot of stuff trying to move through. But I guess my hope with this is just that, like, we're getting to some layers where I'm going to get some relief after this, because it seems like in the past, I've dealt with all of this stuff before. And it's gotten better. It's gotten a lot better. I mean, if I'm being fair, it actually has gotten a lot better. Like astronomically better. But still, it's like, when do you get to the point where this stuff isn't so strong inside of you anymore? Where you don't have like a couple days out of the month where it feels like it's crippling you? But I mean, on the one hand, at least it's just a couple of days out of the month now, because it used to be every day. And, so I guess I have to remind myself of that, like how far it's come, how far I've come on this, because it really has been like a pretty profound journey. But then at the same time, it's like, how do I get these days back? How do I go through my natural cycles of being a female, of being a womb carrier on this planet, and not be drug into these false narratives, because that's what they are, and I know that. I see them for what they are. It's false. It's a false belief system. It's a false timeline. It's inverted. It's not real. It's not natural. I mean, that's very clear to me. But, it's like what my mind sees and knows to be true, and what my body is experiencing. There's like that disconnect between it. And, and so that's my path, right? It's like a path of inner union. A path of bringing the mind and the body into union so that they can like really operate in cohesion. And that's the work that I do with people too, And of course you have to do it yourself and go through it yourself in order to really be able to guide other people through it in an embodied way. So, I understand why I'm going through this. I completely get it. To be really a connected part of the collective, it is necessary, right? If I just wanted to come here and experience being human in a certain way and not really be a part of what the collective is going through, then this would not be necessary. But in order to be a part of what the collective is going through because of the history on this planet, then, in a lot of ways this is kind of necessary. And that's why I incarnated into the family that I did, into the situation that I did. But, still, it's like, damn, this is a lot. It really, it's like these days are the days that I want to like just walk away from everything and just, go like move out onto like a regenerative farm somewhere and I don't know, just do that for a while and just reset from all of this, because it's hard. Like, it's hard trying to work through trauma this deep and still keep, 2 organizations running and, keep myself in a good place. it's like, a completely extra challenge when you do it this way, and you don't, like, I don't know, move out into the jungle for a year or 2 years or whatever and allow your body to really reset in that way. And it's like, the temptation is there, but I really just don't feel like that's my path. And yeah, I just really don't feel like that's my path. It could be, but yeah, I don't know. There's a deeper part of me that's like, I know that I know how to do this. I know that I know because I teach other people how to do it. And sometimes the people that I teach pick it up faster than I do. It's like I have all of the wisdom of actually how to do this, but it's just implementing it that is, the challenging part. And part of that is because I put so much of my energy outside of myself to try to help other people. Trying to get other people connected to this path and connected to this wisdom, because it's so important and it's so beautiful, to be able to connect to the part of yourself that is true and that is divine and that is perfect always. But then, making time so that I can do that myself, so that I can cultivate safety in my own body. It's like finding that balance. And that's my lesson right now. Oof. But yeah, these meditations with the river have been really beautiful. She even came to me earlier today while I was doing some work. And, I can just feel like what a beautiful teacher the water is when you're learning how to just flow, like step into the flow of life, step into the natural flow of the universe. Because that's what the water does, it just flows along, and when it reaches a drop off, it doesn't like freak out and try to backpedal and control and keep from going over the cliff. It just flows over. And then when it gets to the bottom and joins with the rest of the water, it keeps flowing down the river. And yeah, I mean, the lessons of the water are the lessons I need in my life right now, to just flow. And anything that comes into your path, flow around it. And when there's a drop off, flow over it. Without fear and without resistance. Because I've lived so much of my life just with so much resistance. And that's how I've navigated anything that I didn't like or that didn't feel aligned, was with resistance, not with flow. So yeah, I'm getting some good lessons, and I will be interesting over the next 4 weeks to see. And I guess this journey will actually go through that whole 4 weeks, which is kind of cool. That's interesting timing of this. I actually didn't plan on doing this when I started this 40-day challenge. I actually saw this on other challenge, the meditation and creation challenge, on the Instagram of someone that I like, that I follow. So I was like, oh, that sounds like a really beautiful idea. We'll see like what creation, if any, comes from this, because it's really meant to be, meditating with the nature being for 4 weeks and birthing a creation in collaboration with that being. And I don't know, maybe I will be the creation. The new version of me will be the creation. I don't know. We'll see. But I guess I'll get to document it this way, which is kind of cool. Anyway, I don't know if I have anything else today. I'm just really struggling, and I'm really tired. And I'm also really stressed out because we have this event coming up on Monday, and like we're set for it, like we have the first 2 days of material all planned out, and most of the emails set up to go out, and everything's moving. Like I know that everything's going to be done in time. I know it's going to be, pretty crunchy for the next 10 days, trying to get everything just done and keep up with everything, especially once it starts. But I know it'll be fine, and I know that things will flow. And, but still, I'm just like, my body's doing a thing. It is unhappy. And honestly, part of the stuff that's coming up too might be because of what we're doing next week. Because it really is, I guess, just being a lot more public about the work that we do, honestly. And like on a bigger stage, not just, to a few people, and the few people that we work with and that we reach, but it's really starting to like branch out and reach more people and, present what we're doing to a broader audience. And, I've just realized, I don't know, probably like really over the last few months, like how much I don't like to be visible, how much I just like to remain hidden. And I never thought that about myself because I'm the kind of person that, even though you don't see it on these videos, I own like a closet full of like really bright clothing. And like, when I'm interacting with people in, I would say most situations, I have like a very like bright, energetic, like kind of vibrant personality. And so it never occurred to me that I had like serious visibility blocks, but it's been made quite clear to me over the past few months that like I really have that like desire to remain hidden. Like I there's this part of me that likes it, that just likes not being seen. And that like really stepping out into the light and being authentic and being seen for who I am feels like fucking terrifying. Like, somebody's gonna have to like drag me out kicking and screaming, which obviously it doesn't work like that. But it's super interesting, it's super interesting. You hear a lot of people talking about like the witch wound and things like that in these, I don't know, like feminine spiritual containers, and just about like, basically it's about being persecuted for being authentic, right? And having these practices that connect you to the earth and that are, I mean, we can call them witchy, right? They're like very, they're practicing their rituals. They're rituals that create timelines and shift energy in really big ways. I mean, honestly, they do, and this is the stuff that I work with. And I know how powerful it is because I know how powerful it's been in my life. And it's like shifted things that make kind of like, I mean, they're not logical, like it makes no sense the way that things shift when you come and you sit in ceremony and you sit down and you do these rituals with pure intentions, and I think the thing is like probably a lot of the ways that they've been used in the past may not have always been with pure intentions, because they work whether or not they're with pure intentions, right? Everything's just energy. There is no bad or good really in the universe when you're looking at things from like a higher perspective. And so when people talk about witchcraft, right? And I feel like most of what's referred to as witchcraft is more of that like kind of darker form of ritual and magic, that it was, more like being used for, I don't know, personal gain, or for egotistical purposes, or to, like do harm to someone else because you don't like them or whatever, right? From when ritual and magic is used from a low level of consciousness, you can create a whole lot more low level consciousness, basically. It's like really, really fucking powerful. And so, a lot of us carried these wounds from, maybe a lifetime that we had, or maybe just the, collective knowledge, right? That a lot of this work that we do is really powerful, and we don't want people to know what we're doing, and we don't want to share it with people, because I think there is this deeper fear that, one, that we're going to be judged for it, right? That we're going to be ostracized for it. But two, that it's going to be used in a way that is, that's damaging. And I don't actually really believe the second one of those is going to happen right now, because I think we really are in a different time. And, that's why so many of these like shamanic lineages and things like that are starting to share their practices, is because we're in a time where it inevitably is going to be used for the greater good, more than it's going to be used for creating more distortion. But like, I personally know people that use, magic and rituals and shamanic practices to create more distortion. And I don't even, like, some of these people, they don't even realize they're doing it. It's just because the things that they do, they're creating, like, the energy behind it is from a place of distortion. Anyway, that's a really long-winded way of saying that, I think there is some of this, which I never really recognized in myself, some of this, that what people call the witch wound of just, like, fear of my own power and fear of being judged and being ostracized and being destroyed for doing the work that is in my heart, and that I feel like I'm here to do. Because for me, when I use magic and when I use rituals, it's not to like manifest, egotistical desires, right? My intentions are towards harmony. My intentions are towards, wow, friend, what are you? I got the friend. It just landed on me. I don't know where it came from. Hold up. Oh, he's gone now. But yeah, when I do these rituals and these practices, they're to create more harmony and more beauty and more joy and more peace and coherence and on this earth, right? And for myself and for the earth, and to bring my own internal energy into union, harmonious union, and to allow that to be reflected in the world around me. And so that's my reason for doing that. It's not to like, create, I don't know, what do people do these things for? Like to manifest a house or a partner or whatever, right? Like sometimes when you do those things, like when you're trying to manifest those things, like you don't really know why you're trying to manifest those things. Usually it's from a sense of lack. It's from a sense of not having enough, and like you need this house or this car or this partner or this retreat to fill up or this program to fill up in order for you to feel worthy, in order for you to feel like you're enough. And for me, like, I 100% recognize that. I recognize how our minds work and how like we get grabby for these external things because we just want to feel like we're valued and that we're taken care of and that we're safe. And so we try to manifest these external things, and so that's not how I use these practices. And that's not how I believe that they're really meant to be used. And in my view, they're meant to be used to shift timelines for yourself and for the collective into timelines that are more harmonious, that are more peaceful, that are more in alignment with the natural way of living in this particular reality. And then I think like once you get aligned here and you can be in harmony with this physical reality and with the way that life flows here, then you can actually start to change things on, you can probably start to use these practices from a place where you can co-create more, but you're co-creating with the planet and you're co-creating with your body in a way that's harmonious here. And when I say co-create, I mean, like, you can see we create a lot of things on this earth that are not natural. iPhones, the internet, so many things. Like, squirrels don't drive cars, right? But, like, humans create all of these things to make our life more comfortable, and there's nothing wrong with doing that, right? I'm not suggesting we all go live in, like, a hole in a tree. But I think that once we get ourselves really connected to the earth and like on a timeline that is like in harmony and in peace on this earth, then we can create realities that wouldn't exist here on Earth without humans, but we can create them in a way that is actually in harmony with the Earth, and in ways that are regenerative in the same way that the Earth is regenerative, so that we're not creating in conflict with the nature of the Earth, right? And to me, like the ritual and the magic and these kinds of practices, they're a way to help us get there. They're a way to help us get back into balance, back into harmony, to get out of these distorted timelines and, away from these just distorted protective energies that were necessary in the time that we were coming from, I'm sure, but that aren't necessary now. So, yeah, well, I went on a while for that, so I'm going to cut this right now because that got a little out of hand. But anyway, this is day 6. I will see you tomorrow, and I hope that you have a beautiful day.